Therapy Without a Degree, another episode, maybe chapter 3, 18, 19, 20, 320 of these things or 319 of these things. We are here at Jersey Media. I have two very, very special guests. Would you guys like to introduce yourself? Would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Deborah Sherard. I'm a mortgage broker with Expert Home Lending.
And I'm Ricardo Sherard. I'm the son of Deborah Sherard, and I'm also a mortgage broker with Expert Home Lending.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So what have you guys been doing today? Today is a rainy Thursday. It was nice the start of the day. How's the rest of the day been for you?
So for me, just following up with some clients, working right now, I have two clients in Florida that I'm originating loans for. One of them is a disabled veteran who inherited land, and he's looking to build a duplex on
beautiful.
the property. And he'll live in one side, and his sister, who's elderly, will be living on the other side. So we're working with that.
Where are they going to? Where is that going to be?
In Fort Pierce.
Wow.
Fort Pierce.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I'm excited that you brought your son as well, because we met when the first time I met you. He was there as well too. We met at the Pagoda Savings Bank. That was already a little time ago. Time flies.
Yeah.
Yep.
What, 2 years, I think?
Yeah. This summer will actually be 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it was just right after my son was born. We met.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old is your son?
2.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, did you bring him into the business or?
Well, yes.
Kicking and screaming, but yeah.
Well, no. So I retired in 2021 as a New Jersey public school administrator, and first tried my hand at real estate for about a year and found that I was working very closely with my buyers, but more on the financial end, talking about their credit and how they need to save and about debt to income. So doing a lot of things on the lending side as opposed to the real estate side. So I thought, you know what? I think maybe I'm on the wrong side of this fence. So I went back and decided that I do the mortgages, and I do enjoy that much better. Still working very closely with realtors, but now just working on the funding side, which is great.
So now that you essentially, would you say you work for yourself?
Yes. So as mortgage brokers, we're independent. We do have a brokerage that we work under, but we're remote. We, set our own hours. There's no quota or anything. So you work as much as you want or as less as you want.
How has that been? I want to get, obviously, we are Therapy Without a Degree. We talk a lot about mental health and things of that nature. So I want to know for yourself now, just being, starting from there, being self-employed, and shifting from, you said, in the education world, right? Now to this, how has that aided your mental health? Being an entrepreneur, having your business, doing this, what has that been like on a real mental health standpoint, as well too? Is this the first time that you shifted into self-employment, or did you do that before? Or
No, I've always been in education. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was in education for 25 years, and before that, I worked at AT&T in Basking Ridge as a program manager. So I was a programmer and had a team of people, and probably would have stayed there, but we had the divestiture, so it broke up all the Baby Bells, and I decided, what am I going to do? And one of the things a colleague of mine says, you should really think about being an educator, because you're always presenting, you're always working with folks to help them. And I thought, well, I don't know. So, but that's where I went. But on the mental health side, when I retired, the major reason I retired was because of COVID. Though it was very hard on the students as far as the virtual learning, it was just as hard on the teaching staff and staff members. Very, very difficult. Not so much with the kids, but how do they prepare their lesson in such a way that you can ensure that the students are really engaged? It's hard to, when we're in school, we're always trying to keep kids, minimum to being on social media and being on their computers or their phones. And now we did a 360. Everybody had to be on a computer or on some kind of mobile device in order to learn. So for me, that was one of the reasons why I retired. But secondly, to me, it's been more freedom. One of the things that I have, a lot of people don't have as entrepreneurs, is I do have that pension. So I won't starve if I don't have a closing or two each month. Yeah. So that piece has been nice too, and not having to deal with all the politics. People don't realize that once you get at the administrative level in public schools, and I'm sure it's across the country, but particularly New Jersey, a lot of politics, because in some towns and districts, the school district is the major employer. So people are always trying to get favors from the superintendent to hire, their brother, their uncle, brother-in-law, whatever. So it was time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
But I bet it's like completely different. And now, like you said, freedom. Yes. What has that been like?
The freedom has been great, as far as to step away from all of that I had to deal with. Now I don't have to deal with it. If I don't, if I come across, and it's only been a few of them, but if I come across a borrower where it's just really not clicking, or they want you to really approve them for something when you know that they can't do it. And you do have loan officers that will approve you for it. Doesn't mean that you're going to, when the deal comes and it goes to underwriting, that you're going to get the house. Yeah. You can do that. Unfortunately, you have some unscrupulous loan officers to do that. But that freedom to know that I don't have to do that every day, which is nice.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, or that pressure.
Now, have you witnessed your mom in both?
Yes, I have.
What has that been like? Do you see her, because as an entrepreneur, when you have that freedom, I personally feel like, it can be tough, right? So I always say entrepreneurship is definitely not for everybody, right? I actually don't recommend it usually to people nowadays. I don't. But it's tough, right? But it also, if you work well, you have that freedom. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that with her, and what's that been like?
Well, all I could say is this, and I'm not just saying this because of her son. I just thought, if anybody can pull this off, it's her, because I've literally been every step of the way with her, like, starting her journey. Like, I remember as a kid when I was 8 years old during summer school, like, when she used to teach computers. That was kind of like one of her first starts when she used to teach in South Brunswick. She would always take me along with her, and just being part of every step of the journey with her, just being self-motivated, and just taking me with her. And even up until I was high school, I'm sure I can't believe she hasn't told you this, but she got her doctorate from Seton Hall. And I used to before I would have to wake up, like at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning. She would have to take me to soccer camp, and she'd be writing her dissertations. So she's always been self-motivated and just driven, and that always gives me inspiration, because like that's why I think that this won't even faze her, because I've been seeing this all my life, this drive. Wow. And I used to see her write her dissertation like till 2-3 in the morning, and still having to take me to Raritan Valley Community College for soccer camp. So just seeing that from her, so it was like
the hard work.
Yeah, so for me, seeing her, and even while doing this, she don't even tell you, she's watching my kids too at the same time. So she's like, she's the Energizer Bunny, So yeah, she always makes it happen, So yeah.
How did that? Where did you feel like you got that from? And why? What's the why?
I would have to say it was always. I don't know if there was anybody in particular, but if anyone, I would say it was probably my father. My father was in the military for, I think, 22 years when he retired. And there was 5 of us, and my mother never worked. So, you're trying to feed a family of 5. And during that time, he bought a home down in South Jersey. Eventually, when he retired, he was able to, and he was worked as an engineer in the Air Force, and went through the ranks. He first was hired at Eastman Kodak. He was there for a number of years until they sort of, I don't know, I can't remember if they went really out of business. I forgot. But anyway, he was there for a number of years, was able to get a pension from there. And then from there, he went to Rico, retired from there. And then he became a substitute teacher as a matter of fact, in his town. So I think the ability to say that, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of your economic status, if there's something that you want, you have to go after it, and you can't. You're not looking for any handouts, because, unfortunately, when you get handouts, there's always something that there's some kind of, quid pro quo that you have to give in return for that energy. But I think, I disagree with the whole thing about saying entrepreneurs not for everyone, because in this generation right now, in 2025, there's, you still have companies that are hiring folks, but they're hiring as contractors. They're not hiring as full-time employees. And if they are, unfortunately, they may not be getting all the benefits of some kind of retirement. And even with the 401k, that's not always a good guarantee with a lot of things that are going on in the stock market right now. So those are some of the things. So I think, don't want to sound sort of pretentious, but I think that motivation sort of came from me, because there was just certain things that I just wanted to do in my life, and I was going to do it. But what's nice about being an entrepreneur, you don't have folks that are holding you back from doing it. Where if you're in a corporation or something and you want to get to that next level, just because you do all the schooling and you do the projects and you get good performance reviews, it doesn't mean that you're automatically going to get promotion.
Exactly.
Where when you're self-motivated, when you're an entrepreneur, you can decide how high or how far you want to go.
Yeah. What do you tell people that aren't really motivated to do it? Like they want more, but they don't really have that motivation to be great. And whether it's entrepreneurship or anything else, right? Like I guess that, because that motivation even can come, I think, even with a job, right? Or like in many different aspects, right? Whether it's, whether it's sports, whether it's being motivated to be a better parent, all these different things, right? And I think a lot of times people will say like they don't have that example, right? Like, for you say, was it like you think it was like your father? Was that, what do you tell the person that doesn't have that example right in front of them of greatness, of motivation, of determination? What do you tell that person?
I tell that person then to look around at the people that you do admire. If you don't have it within your immediate family, if it's not your parents or uncle or something like that, then look outside of that. Look outside of that circle. Who are some of the people that you're surrounding yourself with? And maybe the people you're surrounding yourself with, maybe you need to step back from them, because sometimes those can be toxic relationships where people don't want to see you get ahead, unfortunately, for whatever reason, which I never understood, but whatever.
No, it's real stuff.
So.
Where do you go for your, like, I know, like, now, again, when I met you at that networking event, that was great. You're trying to be around people, meet people, network with people, do deals with people, like your circle, right? You're like you just said. For now, for someone that, okay, what's those first few steps, right, to find that circle? Or what are quality things that they should be looking for?
As far as a loan officer, or
no,
just in
no,
life,
like a
life
circle, just entrepreneurship, circle,
Yeah, so as a young adult, the first thing I tell young adults is, I won't say I'm overly religious, but I do believe in the church, and I think a lot of times, and people, start to think about there is a higher power, and what are some of the things that you need to do, like Michael Jackson talks about looking at man in the mirror. Look at yourself, and what are some of the things that you want to project? What do you want the things that you want people to know about you? And then look for those same qualities in folks that you know.
Yeah, I like that.
And try to get to that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all valid. A lot of people don't see that though.
Hmm. And all because a lot of times that means that maybe you have to, step away and exit from whatever relationship you have, whether it's spouse or friend or whatever it is that because they're not, or either limiting the time that you're around them, because that can be a drag too on your ability to get to that next step, because now that's always another issue you have to be in. The thing is I don't have time to be dealing with negative things. If it's not positive and it's not going to get me excited, then why am I dealing with it?
Yo, you're 100% right. Like I don't even entertain any of that stuff. Like I really don't. I don't entertain it. Like once you start complaining,
Yes,
once you start drama,
yes,
nah,
no,
we don't got time for that.
Take-
We got to talk about solutions.
Yes.
Solutions, resolutions.
Yeah.
The upside of the day. There's always going to be rain, and you just got to look at the sunshine.
Because you're always, I always tell folks, I know a couple people that they're good at finding the problem, good at identifying the problem. That's the easy part. All of us can do that. Like it's raining. Everybody knows that. But what are you going to do about it? Is that going to stop you from coming here this evening? I could have easily said, oh, it's raining, I'm not coming. No. I need to find my umbrella.
Yeah.
and walk out to the car and get in and let's get here.
You're laughing because it sounds like simple, but like someone like you that's motivated. But a lot of people
Yes.
would have 100% put it off.
Yes.
You
and
know,
reschedule. Yes.
trust me, a lot of people.
Yes.
But it's like no, you have to just do it. You know, you have to be able to because also motivation is only going to last so long.
Yes.
Motivation ain't always there.
Yes.
They always say when you truly, truly, truly do stuff is when you do it when motivation ain't there.
Because I think going to the gym, I love going to the gym because of the way I feel afterwards. It's getting there. Once I get there, I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
We were talking about that earlier. You probably heard the gym conversations going. We're all trying to keep each other accountable and all that. So, all right. So now, obviously a little bit what you do on like the business side, right? So, can you get into that? Also, why it is obviously so important for people that they could know their options, and like we talk a lot about things like behind the scenes, and like people are just spending way too much money, like in New York and over there. And what are some of the options that people have that they just don't know about? Because and what I really want to lean into specifically is that because financial stress is huge with people's mental health. Right?
Big time.
Yeah, like when we're talking about, therapeutic conversations and we're talking about that, a lot of people don't want to admit, but it stems, I think, a lot to, financial struggles and things like that. So like you mentioned, you see sometimes people just wasting money on one route when they could be saving going another route or just having more of a, well-balanced life. So, I mean, can you dig into that a little bit?
Yeah. So I saw a post about 3 days ago on Instagram from a loan officer. And I just love it. And I wish I could remember who she was. But anyway, she says, for all the renters who are complaining about the rates at being at 7 to 8%, do you understand that you're paying 100% when it becomes to your rent? So I like to say the same thing to folks when, they'll ask me what the rate is. And I said, well, let's talk about the interest rate. What do you know about the interest rate? Just that it's high. I said, well, keep in mind the interest rate is predicated on the stock market. So as lenders, we have no control over the interest rate. Only control we have is looking at the stock market and making, and trying to get the best pricing for folks. So when folks decide that they want to purchase a home, the first thing I talk to them is, you fill out the application. Let's see with your score. And your score, your FICO score, is also predicated on your interest rate that you will get, what we call pricing. So the higher the score, the better your interest rate. So that's the main thing, is talking to people about that. So the next question I will get is, well, I'm paying, $3,000 for my rent, but I don't have the money for the down payment and the closing costs. I said, okay, let's talk about that. Right now, you're paying $3,000. You're putting $36,000 a year towards your landlord's mortgage. you do that for 10 years, there's $360,000 right there.
Mm.
I said, so let's go back and rethink that. So when they see it on paper, because I will actually sit there and I'll write with them, if they're in New Jersey, but in other states we'll do it Zoom. But on paper, and they'll start, oh, okay, yeah. And I said, guess what? After 6 months of the year, if you have an emergency, you can pull that equity out of your house, as to having to go and use your credit card that's at probably 28%.
Mm.
And charge whatever it is, if it's medical, whatever that you have to purchase or cover that expense. So that's the main thing that we talk about, is getting people to understand the advantages of owning a home. Secondly, for the current generation, is to talk about a generational wealth, especially for a lot of our minority populations. A lot of the 30-something, they could be the first person in their family to own a home. So that's one of them. We have a situation right now with Ricardo where he has, it's a generational borrower, where it's the mother and her 2 children.
And the grandmother.
That's right, and the grandmother that are on the loan in order to qualify for that. So it's talking about a family affair and how we pull this all together. And so, yes, there's the financial piece, but the biggest piece is to understand is how do you provide something, some type of legacy for your family as you go forward.
What has that been like on your side, right? When you're talking with individuals, and we're talking about legacy and just changing and breaking, these old standards or old ways of living. What has that been like?
Well, it's kind of been powerful for me, because just as a person in my position, just getting people to believe that, hey, you can do it. Hey, it doesn't have to be, okay, conventional, 20%, I need to have this much, but there's other avenues out there that could help them, so that's just been a very powerful thing. And it's just a thing of, okay, getting something to just believe, because I've been in the situation we talked about, like, young folks kind of losing hope that, oh, maybe the houses are so expensive, I can't afford one. So the reason why people spend so much money is like, why even try when I don't have enough money right now to get to the next step in my life, So I think this is very rewarding for me, because it's getting people to believe, okay, you can do this. Here are the steps. Here are the options. So that's been very rewarding for me.
What has been, I guess, some of the recent ones that have you noticed that, you're working with an individual and you're able to get them out of a situation that wasn't the best. Maybe they're paying too much. And then now it's like on the flip side.
Oh yeah, I just had I just closed with someone who's 24 years old.
Yes.
Just came out of college, has got a good job, and was looking for a 3-family. And I'm like, hey, I'm like, I know you're making good money, I know you're doing well, but you have, like a lot of college folks, student loan debt, cars, all that sort of stuff. So I was like, okay, like, instead of a 3-family, because New Jersey can be really high, let's do a 2-family, start from there, and then years from now, you can get out of this one and get your 3-family. So we thought, okay, like, and then we decided to get his parents on, and then just getting all their money together. And should I share the numbers, or?
Yeah, you can share the numbers.
Yeah, this guy came in with $30,000. He only had $30,000, to put down, and with that, and he got a 2-family home in Jersey City for $650,000. Just all in. All in with closing costs, $34,000. Just him and his parents, a 24-year-old kid, just getting in. Like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I changed this man's life. I changed his family's life, and this is, a hardworking family. Both his parents were immigrants from Peru, and still hardworking, and just like, wow, that was just so inspiring for me. It's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did this. I helped them make their dreams come true. So seeing that, it's like, okay, that just really inspired me. That is like, okay, you don't think you can, but yes, you can do it. This was proof that you can do it, you know?
Yeah, 1,000%. How was that experience watching that go down with him?
Wow. So sometimes it was like, you got to be kidding me. So at one point, when we were getting close to, when he was getting close to closing, the borrower, the 24-year-old, said to him, I don't have the amount of money he needed to close. And I said to my son, I said, I'm telling you, he went on vacation. So he had asked Ricardo about a couple of weeks before closing, is it be a good idea for him to go on vacation to Peru, I think it was. And I told him, you tell him no.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, 2 days, oh no, was it the day before? I think it was the day before
The
closing.
night before.
The night before closing. He tells Ricardo he doesn't have the amount of money to close. So I said to Ricardo, you got to be kidding me. That doesn't make any sense. He has the loan estimate and everything. Now, Ricardo was ready just to throw it away. I said, no. You can work on this. So we have what's called account executives, and they walked him through. And they were able to work the numbers. So he was able to close on time and close with the amount he needed.
Okay, so I guess maybe you could tell the audience like that. Like, let's just say, there's someone maybe 30 years old or whatever, and they want to get a home, and they live in the New York City area, and they do want to, reduce their rent, right? Instead of paying the rent, they maybe want to own something, have a mortgage, but like you said, down payments, things like that, right? They feel like they don't have it. What options are out there, right? And then also, how does it either benefit them, hurt them? Is there like penalties with this? Is it something that is a temporary fix, but then they just pay a little more towards the end? Is it what exactly is it for someone that maybe kind of wants to do that, but they're unaware that they can maybe start with more affordable options?
So a number of lenders offer what they call down payment assistance, and they can be either repayable or forgivable. So the forgivable is just what it says. You don't pay it back. You don't pay it. But the term is still the same, 30%. But there's, some of them have rules that you have to be in your house for 10 years, 15 years before you can either sell it or refinance. If you do sell it or refinance, then you'd have to pay back the down payment. Now for the repayable, you don't have that restriction. However, you have a second lien. So you would have 30 years term on your first mortgage or your first lien. And then for the down payment assistance, you get 10 years to pay that off. So at the end of the 30 years, now you start to pay the down payment. So really, it's not really a bad deal in a way. It's really not bad. And the rates, again, it depends on how the market is. Some of them are pretty decent. It's nice. And what it does is then it frees up takes some of that angst and worry off the borrower, because now they just have to worry about their closing costs. And if you have a really good realtor who knows how to negotiate what they call seller's concessions, you can come to the table with nothing. I just had this experience a month ago with one of my borrowers down in Florida, where they bought a home for $300,000. They did the forgivable down payment, so they're not going to have to ever pay it back. It's a 3-2, so 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2-car garage. It was a really nice place, and
Hey, listen to this.
so the realtor was able to get a seller's concession for the seller to pay up to $15,000 towards their closing costs. Their closing costs at that time was like $17,000. So now they were looking maybe bringing $2,000 to the table at closing. A couple of days before we're getting there, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm working with the underwriter, and now we're getting like down to $500 that they just have to bring.
Wow.
I'm like, this is crazy. I've never seen this. The day before, $52, and I think it was 41 cents.
That's crazy.
Okay, so now 2 days later, the title company says, oh, we realized that they overpaid, I think it was on their homeowner's insurance or flood insurance or something. So the title company had to issue
a refund?
Check for $642. So
Jesus.
technically, they got paid
To
to
the
move
deal.
this house.
I need that.
Yes. So that's something me and this realtor, in fact, I was just talking to him today. I said, who would believe this? I have never had this.
Now, question: can you get all this like let's say down payment assistance things like that? Is this only residential, or could this be for like multifamily?
Or it's multifamily. So we do have a couple of lenders that will do it up to 2 units. I haven't seen anyone who does it over a duplex, over 2 units.
And one thing, yes, it's available, but you have to have a 620.
Yeah.
That
your
you
credit
have
card.
At least a 620.
at least
Yes,
a 620.
But it could be done if
Yes.
it's.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
That's really
Yes.
good. That's really good to know.
Yes.
Because if someone wants to get like a 4 unit, 5 unit,
Well, you can't get you can get a 4 or 5 unit, but you wouldn't qualify for the
down payment. So the down payment only works for what?
2 units.
2 minutes, 2 or max.
1 or 2. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either single family or double.
Yeah. At least you get a double.
Yeah.
You know, I guess around here, because around here everything is it's tough. You know.
Yeah, and here in North Jersey, what we're finding is we don't see too many triplexes or fourplexes.
Unless if you go to Newark or Garfield or
Yeah, but yeah, Garfield. That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Garfield, you'll get lucky. There's not many. There's not many.
No.
no.
No,
No.
people ain't selling.
No, and people have been buying them up. Yeah.
Yeah, the second they're available.
Yeah,
they
like
buy 'em.
East Orange and Orange. East Orange now is getting a little pricey
Yeah.
for folks. And what you find is you see your professionals out of New York City, these young people are coming over, they're buying these, yeah. But East Orange, I think also because they really renovated that train station, so you have that direct route. Even down in Central Jersey, South Amboy, they have a ferry that takes you right into Penn Station now. Or
Yeah.
I guess it breaks somewhere over there in the Hudson, and then I guess you take another ferry that brings you.
Yeah, depending on where you're at, like, and that's another thing for anyone listening that is in New York, and if you want to like save and come on over to Jersey, it's really there's a lot of options. Like I used to live for a little while in Brick, which is down in Ocean
Oh, yeah.
County,
Yes.
and believe it or not, there was like a lot of really express buses and things of
Yes.
that nature
Yes.
that you can get in and out of the city very quick.
Really?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people would think that just because you're in Brick down there by like Seaside,
Yeah.
you can get on a decent hour and 30-minute bus, and a lot of people that live in the city do that.
Yes.
So a lot of
Yes.
people.
So hit us up if you want to get more information about
Yeah.
down payment assistance, and that's just not for 2 families. I mean, that's for single family homes too. There's no restriction on the amount for the purchase. I believe it can go up to 3.5. I believe.
And the most important thing, there's no income limit.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
So no matter what.
No
what
income minimum.
minimum.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the real big restriction is the FICO score 620.
That's what. Yeah. That's
and
what. That's
and then that you've been employed in the same job for at least 2 years.
yeah. Oh, that's definitely smooth.
Yeah.
Also, too, I guess. Right now, what are you guys seeing people shifting? Are people buying houses right now? Are they not? Are they looking? Or where's that like?
They are buying, they are looking, but here's an interesting, it's twofold. And I'm seeing this with my current situation right now. Number one, because we had the situation in which in 2020 and 2021, where the market went crazy, everybody overbid. So what I'm seeing in this situation, when we're this particular family, the mother and the kids, they're looking at this particular house where the seller that bought this house, they bought it November of 2024 for $370,000, but it wasn't even worth that much. And they tried to get it as a mixed use, and the town didn't approve it. So now, and it hasn't even been 6 months, and they're trying to sell it right away.
Right.
So, okay. So you have a house that you overpaid for, and now you want to get rid of it. That's an advantage for the buyer, because now, okay, so I could use this to my advantage. And if the buyer doesn't think they have enough money for closing costs, they can negotiate what we're talking about with seller's concessions. Mm-hmm. Now, for folks that don't understand what seller's concession means, basically you're having the realtor negotiate the seller to help the buyer with funds as far as like prepaid and closing costs, and you could negotiate up to 6% of the purchase price, right?
For FHA.
Yeah, for FHA. Yes, that's
And then 4% for conventional.
4% for conventional. Yeah, so that's another good tool for folks. So the fact that you see, I don't know if it's for a lot of folks, but you're seeing kind of buyer remorse because of, maybe they spent too much on a house and they're trying to get rid of it. Oh, okay. The buyer can use this to their advantage as far as, okay, how can we make the deal work for us? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that makes
And then
sense.
also we see a large number of people looking for refinances. So people who purchased in 2023 when rates were going up almost like 10 to 11%. Now we're seeing them come back.
And
They
wanna
don't
do
have a problem doing a refinance of 7 or 8% because that's 3% lower.
Question: if people want to, let's say they do the down payment assistance and then they want to maybe do the refinance. I know you said they can't for a little while.
They can,
But
they would just have to pay it back.
Pay that down payment, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's not.
It's not a bad thing, depending on, and here's the thing. So let's say you want to refinance. You can take some of that money from the refinance and pay it towards paying back
The down payment.
lender, the down payment.
Yeah, which is like, okay, if the
Yeah.
refinance, if I got an extra value of 75,000,
Yes.
and my down payment in closing was 60,
Yes. Then you're still ahead of the game.
yeah,
Yeah. Yes.
which isn't bad because you just got to hope for that. You got to do a
Yes.
little lipstick, right? And
Yes.
make it nice and increase the value a little bit.
Yeah.
How much does that, in your opinion, how much does a lot of that stuff actually really? I don't know if that if that would be your department, but if someone did buy something, they put a little lipstick into it, waited some time, year or two, does from your thoughts, what is that going to increase the value a decent amount to, in this area at least, we're looking at like maybe 100,000, upside of, doing some lipsticks to the property and waiting like a year or two.
Oh, I think it. Sorry to interrupt. I think it can because based our location, New York.
Yes, yeah.
The fact that not just in New York, we're in two major cities, New York and Pennsylvania. So the fact that we have so much access to public transportation, that's what you're really paying for. So much for the houses here. I mean, like you look at but the fact that we're so much closer to two major cities and public transportation is to our advantage. Sorry to get off topic, but yes, doing a little bit of work to the house, if it's like, kind of like, doing some paint or, doing some upgrades to your kitchen or to the bathroom.
And to the bathrooms. And the other thing I would think is the other advantage we have here in New Jersey is that we have a low inventory. So you're going to have people that are willing to pay. It's just, and we don't have enough real estate, meaning land, to really build. The new construction you see now is all condominiums and townhouses.
Yeah.
We see very few single family houses, or if you do, we're seeing a sort of like gated communities or the 55 and over.
Yeah.
But rarely do I see, and not unless you're going like real South Jersey, you're getting like Gloucester and Camden County. Not a lot of people from New York are going to be moving that far south. They might do the Central Jersey.
Yeah, that's as far as they
Middlesex
want to
Count.
go. Yeah, Union,
But that's
Perth Amboys.
yeah,
that's as far as they're going.
yep.
This might be a little out of your wheelhouses, but what are you guys' thoughts on actually buying land?
So land, it's interesting. Land does not depreciate. So I tell people that's a good thing to buy land, and it's a lot cheaper than than purchasing the house.
I was actually looking at
Isn't that
some
crazy.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. I was
Yes.
looking at some land in Texas because like West Texas, you can get a nice little plot for like 10,000,
Oh, yes.
12,000.
Yes.
Nice little plot, but then it's like, what do you do
with it? Yes. Yeah. So no, it's not bad. You can hold on to it, and maybe a developer comes in and says, you know what, I need your couple of acres there.
Exactly, and then you put a price on it.
And then you put a price on it and make it worth them your while.
Yeah, people have been buying it. I've been looking at like some
Yes.
investors, and they've just been buying it just to have it.
Yes.
Because if you're buying land at like 10 to 15,000, 15,000. What's your mortgage on that land?
Oh gosh, we don't, well, we really don't originate ones that are under 100. Probably,
Like-
probably. I don't know. Maybe 500. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
three-
500. A month,
Yeah, three to $500 a month.
maybe. Yeah.
You know, you're just using.
Well, you know, it's not going to be 30 years.
No,
Yeah. But, yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah. But
Yeah. But if you have a plan of how you're gonna do it, by all means, go for it.
yeah.
Like what you're gonna do with the land, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're gonna do, as long as you have a plan. Like,
Some people now I see they're just holding it.
Yeah, I would just hold
because
it.
it's so cheap.
Just make sure that, there's no landfills or anything else
Yeah,
close to some kind of nuclear waste.
yeah. But no, but believe it or not, some of them, they're in some decent areas.
Yeah.
Even like Florida, little West Florida as well.
Yes.
West Florida has their because that's another area they're slowly now trying to develop that side.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole East Florida, that's and
Yeah, yeah.
so now they're shifting over.
Oh, yeah.
like the Panhandle, right near Alabama, right?
Yeah.
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 That the like Pensacola, but I'm even talking even a little bit more down. They're like, there's some land for sale there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alabama's another good state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the stuff that I research at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm a night owl, so like 11,
Me too.
11, 12 o'clock at night, I'm literally watching videos like how to buy land.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing? But
Yeah, but unfortunately, we don't have that.
over
In
here,
New Jersey.
nah,
There is no land.
nope,
There is
no.
no.
So, but and if it was, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But Texas and places like that, I mean, everywhere is so much more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
Things of that nature. Do you guys do PA at all? Or no?
Yeah.
You guys do Pennsylvania?
Yep.
Do you guys do any deals or active?
We haven't done one yet, but no.
Yeah,
But we are licensed.
Easton, PA, Allentown, PA,
Mhm.
other things like that in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you guys been around in this area for like all your lives, or?
Well, mostly for me. He has, yes.
Yeah,
also,
yeah. So I'm originally from New Brunswick, and my wife works at Valley Hospital, and I finished at Rutgers. Funny story. So I kind of started going up here. Being a Jet fan, my daddy used to take me to Jet games, as a kid a lot.
At the
And
Meadowlands,
At the Meadowlands.
Okay.
Yep. So it was a lot of painful years with the Jets, but we had some good times though
Yeah.
with Curtis Martin and
Yeah.
Wayne Corbett. Shout out to Wayne Corbett, who's next door to Garfield.
Yes.
Shout out,
Oh, really?
go Garfield. Yep.
Oh.
So we used to go. That's all I knew about North Jersey.
What about baseball? You a baseball fan at all or no?
Go Mets.
Oh, we some diehard Yankee fans in here, but it's okay.
That's
It's
okay.
We got
No. If the Mets are not doing good, I'll root for the Yankees.
some- Okay. Okay.
I've been to Mets game. I have yet to be to Yankee Stadium, and I want to go one day.
You gotta go. Maybe we might do actually a Jersey media outing one day. Maybe we'll go to a Yankee Mets game. Maybe we'll do that. Julia, when's the next Mets and Yankee game coming up?
May 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Oh wow, it's coming up.
I'm actually going the 18th after the Oswaldo camp.
It's the same day, right?
Yeah. So the camp's 10 to 1, and the game's at 7. So I'm gonna adventure my way around for about.
Oh, you got to remind me of that. If we're gonna bring a shooter to that, do I need to buy a ticket for that? Tell me later.
Yeah. So that's all I knew about North Jersey, and then my now wife I met at Rutgers, and it was winter break.
Congratulations.
Thank you. As of October 9th, 9 years going strong. So
Wow.
yeah. So we met at Rutgers, and then it was right before winter break, and she didn't get her nurse license on time. So I went to. So she was living in Hackensack at the time, and funny story. So the first time I ever drove up to Hackensack, I got pulled over by the cops, and I'm like, "Cop, what did I do?" And it's like, "You were driving too slow in the fast lane." I had literally the MapQuest directions driving because I didn't have a GPS at the time. Yeah, so I was driving there, and they pulled me over, and they gave me a warning, and then I kept going, and I was like, "Oh, I remember this as a kid." Giant Stadium. Yeah. So she was staying in Hackensack, and then I eventually moved up there after I graduated since I was 23, and I've been up here ever since. Now we live in Woodridge, so yeah, I love North Jersey. It's completely different from where we grew up. I grew up in New Brunswick, so yeah,
Yeah.
completely different.
Nothing like it.
Nothing like it. I love it.
All right. So I guess as we get ready to close this out, Deborah, what are a few things that you feel like the average person doesn't know now about, doing this, seeing a loan officer, when they would have to, why they, like all these different little details. What do you feel they don't know?
The first thing that they don't know is you can't look for a house without a pre-approval. You must see a loan officer first for pre-approval. Don't even think about looking at a house because it's like window shopping. You might be looking at, especially if you live here in North Jersey, it's nothing to look for something that's 800,000 and more. So get yourself, your pre-approval, find out what you can afford to buy, and then find your realtor. And most of your good realtors will tell you, we're not going to show you a house without the pre-approval.
Yeah.
And that's more to not waste their time, but also not to waste your time too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, where can they find you guys?
Well, they can find me at Mortgages by Debra on Instagram, or they can call me at 908-208-5083 or text at the same number.
Awesome. Where can they find yourself?
Ricardo_the lender on Instagram, and my phone number is 848-702-1808.
Okay. Julia, you got any questions for them, or you think we all good?
I think y'all all good.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Well, this was great. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for chatting with us a little bit, dropping
Yes.
some gems,
Yes.
telling us a little bit about your story.
Okay.
All right.
And also, maybe you might want to just say that you're going to be helping us with our podcast.
Yes. I didn't know if you want to officially announce.
Yeah. We just don't have a title. But
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
coming soon.
yes.
Yeah. It is going to be a brand new podcast officially announced here. That's it.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if we are trying to keep it secret
No,
yet.
No.
That's it. We announcing it. All right. It's going to be a podcast. Deborah, what are we going to be talking about on the pod? Do we have any? You want to give them any little gems?
Yeah.
Any little hints?
So the hint I will say is we will have guests. Our guests will be realtors, the realtor partners that we currently have, and we will be talking about the needs of their buyers and what products and services that we have that help them get into either their dream home or their starter home, or you know what, even a reverse mortgage if they're thinking about walking away.
Actually, I do got one more question for you. I don't know again if you're familiar with this. I don't want to just assume. Subject to.
Well, he's the expert on that one. The subject to.
Subject to. Thoughts.
Yeah. Yes. Thoughts on that.
So subject to, I kind of get confused with that with seller financing.
Well, and assumable loans.
And assumable loans.
loans,
So
yeah.
basically, where the person that currently has the home acts as the bank.
Yes.
Yes.
So you work out a deal, like, say if I send a letter to someone at, say, 123 Main Street, like I send a letter to them, say, hey, I want to buy your home. My wife and I, my 2 kids want to move in here. Like, can we talk? And then you talk about, okay, can I pay you money to live at the house? We work out a deal, where A, I could pay you money, or 2, I could take over your mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the one thing I would say to that caveat is make sure that you find yourself a very reputable real estate attorney
Yes.
to help you with that. With all three, whether it's subject to, whether it's the seller finance, and with the assumable, you have to make sure that you find with the bank to make sure it's allowable. There's a lot of the mortgages and a lot of them that we work with, the lenders, do not allow for assumable. So just make sure that when you purchase your home, if that's something you're thinking about down the road, it may be a problem for you.
Yeah. I guess, it's good. It's good to know about those little details. I've done a lot of research around subject to.
Yeah. The subject to is interesting. It's just that you got to make sure that you have a real estate agent who knows, a real estate attorney who knows how to write up that contract.
But did I say that correctly? Like, was that?
Yeah,
was that
no,
correct?
no,
Okay,
but just making sure that you have the.
Yeah, from what I've always, from what I've heard from it, it's basically just like, hey, or if you're, having a hard time making your payments, right? So if you're struggling, if you're almost getting foreclosed, something like that, basically I would come to you and I would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get you in good standing, right? So I'm going to actually pay the debt, right, that you owe, that you're late on.
Yeah.
I'm also going to give you a little money to go get an apartment or get into something else so you can have a home and you can be safe. And then I'm just going to be paying your mortgage.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to transfer the deed over to me.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because the deed has nothing to do with the mortgage.
Correct.
No, it doesn't.
Correct.
And you literally, by doing that, you kind of save around on the money a little bit.
Right.
Because you're just paying really, like you're just really, at the end of the day, you're paying the person to get solidified into another apartment. And then you're paying, you know, if they're back behind like 2 months of rent or 2 months of mortgage or something like that, wherever they're down.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, just getting them out of their situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, just helping them out. Because if they don't want to really be involved, if they don't want to deal with it no more.
Yeah.
And it's not so much that we like, you know, the average Joe Schmoes like us that want to own homes. It's not just bad for us; it's bad for the banks too, because the banks don't want these properties on their books.
No.
They don't want foreclosures. They're not in the business to have homes on their books. So yeah.
So yeah, as long as it's adios, as long as they're getting the mortgage paid.
Yes. Whatever the balance is, the balance could be 200,000, but the house might be worth, I don't know, 500,000. They just want that mortgage, the balance.
The
paid
balance
off. Yes.
paid. And then a lot of people get confused of the deed
Correct.
and the mortgage.
Yes.
The mortgage is just the
It's
bill.
bill.
The
yes.
deed is the ownership, and they're not related.
Yeah. They don't. Yes.
It's been very interesting to me to learn about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And what's nice about the assumable, you're assuming also their interest rate too,
Exactly.
which is nice. So the only thing you would be paying for is the closing costs
The closing costs of what? Of
for assuming that loan, but the closing costs of the balance,
ah
not the closing costs of what they purchased it.
yeah. So just the balance of like
Yeah.
if you're behind,
Yes.
like if someone is behind and I'm just paying that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that but it's just finding those. You know.
Yeah.
So one of the things I tell folks, if you're going to do it that way, look at your for sales by owners.
Yeah.
That means
exactly.
probably driving around town,
Yeah.
but they're there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's so interesting. Anyone that's listening to this, go do your research, because there's so many options. But again, if you just don't know, like this was, the down payment assistance, that's beautiful. There's that.
Yeah.
Then there's the subject too. There's this. There's just so much stuff there. So that's where I'm really excited too for your podcast, so that you
Yes.
guys can like dig into all this stuff.
Yeah. So those are some of the things that we'll be talking about our podcast, and just trying to get away from that myth that you don't need 20% down.
Yeah.
You don't, renting is not cheaper than owning.
No, no.
You are paying a mortgage; it's just not yours.
You're not. I'm not paying home insurance. I'm not
Yeah,
paying
you are.
taxes. Yes, you are.
Your landlord is passing it through on your rent. Yeah, that's what I tell people all the time. When people complain about renters, trust me, they're paying. They're paying property taxes.
You guys got to do an episode called "Real Estate Without the Down Payment."
Oh, thank you. I like that.
That we're gonna do.
Now we just need a name.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great.
All right, guys. Other than that, we out of here. Make sure you follow them on social media. Make sure you guys show them some love.
Yes.
Do all that fun stuff. We out.